So you didn't use protection in a threesome with Miss Rogers?
The other girl was my girlfriend.
That he did not tell me about until that night. He did not tell me that this girl was his girlfriend.
And then you sit there and you're gonna deny him? Really? I mean, you messed up on my life. You can't even come around and be a grandfather at 50 years old.
Do this, and he just kind of shrugged it off and said, okay. About a week after that, we were in the pool and we were swimming under the water, and he kissed me in the water, and I came up. I didn't stop it. I let it continue, and we ended up having sex.
The plaintiff states that after reuniting with her elementary school sweetheart, the defendant, she became pregnant. She claims the defendant has consistently denied being the father of her child, Christian, labeling her as promiscuous and suggesting that due to her history with other men, he cannot be the father. Brace yourselves. It only escalates from here.
You say after an encounter with your elementary sweetheart, you ended up pregnant. You say the defendant has gone through great lengths to deny he is the father of your son, Christian. You say Ms. Rogers is promiscuous and it was only a casual fling. You say she has even slept with some of your friends, and therefore it is impossible you are the father of her baby.
Did that just happen? The plaintiff recounts how she and the defendant reconnected unexpectedly at a friend's house after years of being apart. They reminisced about old times, which led to them having sex multiple times over the course of a month. The plaintiff was unaware at the time that the defendant had a girlfriend. Just wait. The next part is even more of a head spinner.
I met him in elementary school. We was friends. I kind of moved away after a while. We was close friends, but we never kept in touch because we were so young. I was at my friend's house, or I was at her boyfriend's house, and we were chilling, and he walked through the door, and I'm like, really? Of all places? So we was talking, laughing, joking about old times, how you been, catching up and stuff. We went back to my friend's house with her boyfriend, and we had sex that day.
Ready for a curveball? A revelation occurs when it is disclosed in court that there was a threesome involving the plaintiff, the defendant, and another woman, who was later revealed to be the defendant's girlfriend. The judge and courtroom react with surprise to the unplanned disclosure of the threesome. You won't believe what's coming up next.
We had a threesome. The night I found out that he had a girlfriend, we had a threesome.
At first I thought he said in the freezer. Then I realized he said in a threesome. So you didn't use protection in a threesome with Miss Rogers?
The other girl was my girlfriend.
That he did not tell me about until that night. He did not tell me that this girl was his girlfriend. Yes, he said that he was talking to a girl before. But he told me that right then he was single.
Things just got real. The plaintiff describes finding out she was pregnant while at a doctor's appointment intended for birth control. She expresses her initial fear and shock upon learning of her pregnancy, given her life circumstances and plans. Hang tight, the emotional twists keep coming.
How'd you find out you were pregnant?
I went to the doctor to get my birth control shot because I know I'm having sex, so I'm like, I need to go because I don't want to have no more kids.
Anymore?
I have twins.
18 years old with 3 children?
Yes. I didn't want no more kids because I had just got accepted to college. Everything was looking up. So I was like, I wanted to cap on before anything happened, not knowing that I was already pregnant. I was scared.
Can you handle more? This twist adds even more complexity. The defendant casts doubt on the timing of the plaintiff's pregnancy announcement and disputes the events around their last interactions. There is confusion and conflict over whether the defendant was informed about the pregnancy directly or through friends. Keep your eyes peeled. The courtroom drama is about to heat up even more.
So at what point did you determine baby was Mr. Stone?
When that day I went to that ultrasound, I thought I was having a boy, and that lady told me when my baby was conceived.
At your ultrasound, you got the date, the conception date.
Days don't even add up, Your Honor.
What did they say?
The lady said that I got during the beginning of November.
Is that when you were intimate with Mr. Stone?
Yes, that was part of the time.
No, Your Honor, we were intimate between the 17th and the 22nd.
Didn't see that coming, did you? The climactic moment of the episode occurs when the DNA test results are revealed.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Stone, you are not the father.
Brace yourself for the fireworks. Miss Kelly starts off with a bang, alleging that Miss Richard is motivated purely by greed, aiming to snatch a piece of her family's inheritance. This fiery accusation is set against a backdrop of funeral crashing and unsolicited appearances, which adds spice to an already bubbling feud over who's who in the family tree and who gets what from Grandma's cookie jar. Hold tight, the roller coaster is just getting started.
Why do you think Miss Richard is wanting so desperate to prove that she is your sister?
First off, Christy is a money grubby person, and I think she just wants any inheritance that's going to be left over from my family. The inheritance came when my grandmother passed away.
The plot thickens here. Miss Kelly accuses Miss Richard and her unruly entourage of wreaking havoc on her home, leading her to seek a hefty $5,000 in damages. Miss Richard vehemently denies these claims, which pours fuel on the fiery dispute about past mishaps and present accusations. And guess what? It's about to spiral into even more chaos.
When she was up here and went to the funeral to a grandmother, she didn't even know, and I'm totally embarrassed. And when my grandfather started giving me stuff like furniture, my wedding dress, her wedding ring, dollhouse that belonged to my great-grandmother, got all mean and pissy because it wasn't given to her. Yes,
That's a lie.
Why would you be entitled to anything? You're not even my dad.
Yes,
even if you are, he left you $1. You're never gonna get anything.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more tangled. As the inheritance issue takes center stage, Miss Kelly reveals how the lure of legacy has intensified their conflict. Amid claims of entitled behavior at family gatherings and sharp jabs over antique furniture, this segment unpacks a family drama that's as complicated as a Thanksgiving dinner debate. The tea is piping hot, and there's more being served up next.
What exactly are you all so concerned about that your living father may leave either one of you upon his death? You guys are not trying to make it sooner rather than later.
Everything that's in the will, as far as my life insurance policies, the house, my dad has 2 motorcycles, there's cars, all the other stuff like the antiques, my grandmother's wedding dress, that my mother told her she was gonna cut up my grandmother's to make dolls.
No, I did not. No, I did not.
Yes, you did.
Oh boy, you won't believe this twist. Miss Kelly spins a tale of a legendary adult party from decades past, suggesting it might be the night Miss Richard was conceived. Meanwhile, Miss Richard counters with her own version of her origins, challenging the family saga with claims of identity and belonging. The saga is thickening, and you won't want to miss what's coming.
How did this come to be that you possibly could be sisters? Explain this to me. This adult sex party. Give me not too many details. But the details the court needs to know.
I guess in 1977, my dad and friends got together, had a party, and got pregnant supposedly that night.
Ms. Rieger, explain to me how you came to know that you were potentially Miss Kelly's daughter.
My whole life I didn't know. My stepfather was my dad. That's why I don't know my dad.
Grab your popcorn. This is getting juicy. In a heated exchange, both parties sling mud over financial aids and past favors, with Miss Kelly and Miss Richard each defending their honor against accusations of opportunism and ingratitude. This verbal tennis match shows no signs of slowing down, and the DNA reveal up next is like the season finale of your favorite show.
You're saying today that you allowed Miss Rieger to come and stay in your home. If you don't like her and you don't believe she's your sister, and how in the world do you offer her?
Because I felt bad for the children. She called me and said, I bought plane tickets. I have nowhere to go. Can I stay with you for 2 months? Almost 8 or 9 months. Destroyed my house. Her children peed all over brand new beds that I purchased for my kids.
Gird your loins. Here comes the bombshell. The much anticipated DNA results confirmed.
In the case of Miss Christy Rieger, Miss Rieger, Mr. Kelly is in fact your father.
Told you!
Strap in for this one. M. Wisnowski kicks off by throwing a major curveball, claiming Mr. Wisnowski might not be her biological dad thanks to the chaos stirred up by her mom's wild ways and her dad's ghosting act early on. She's been on this emotional roller coaster for 25 long years, waiting to hit the truth station today. Brace yourself. It only gets wilder from here.
You say that your mother, Ms. Cortez, was extremely promiscuous and she pushed away your alleged father when you were very young. You also say you've never been sure that Mr. Wisniewski, who is joining us today from his hometown, is your biological father.
Just when you think it couldn't get more soap opera-ish, Miss Wisnowski spills the tea on her mom's love life and how it scrambled her sense of family. She talks about a revolving door of potential dads, each named Jim, which has her totally boggled about her real dad's identity. Grab your popcorn. The next part is a doozy.
My mother was a whore when she was with my dad, and she slept around, and that's the reason why my mom, my so-called father, had broken up. And I want to know who my dad is, because I don't know who this is my dad, or another Jim was my dad. My mom's been with several other Jims in my life, and it's confused me from growing up.
Hold on to your seats. Mr. Wisnowski dives into why he's got big doubts about being Miss Wisnowski's real dad, painting a picture of his home life turned upside down, with random dudes dropping by thanks to Mrs. Cortez's alleged freewheeling. He's convinced it's all one big mess, and wait till you hear what's next. Total chaos.
I made mistakes, and yes, I did have an affair. He also had affairs.
So now, Mr. Wisniewski, can you please explain why you doubt?
I have doubts because while we were together, I was in the military, and went ahead, I don't mind people buying drinks for ladies in bars free and stuff like that, because that's what they do. Bottom line being is that she's an alcoholic. Here she is in a bar, hitting up people for drinks.
Oh boy, here it comes. The plot thickens as Mrs. Cortez owns up to a scandalous night out that turned into much more, thanks to a fateful argument and a car exit. Mr. Wisnowski's suspicions seem to have hit the mark, but she claims it's not as cut and dry as it looks. Fasten your seatbelts. The emotional turbulence ahead is intense.
Specifically basically what happened was on the way home one night we were having an argument, threw me out of the car. It was late at night.
Wait a minute, you're supposed to be
and
Christian. You're lying.
I had somebody pick me up because they saw me crying and very upset.
Was it a stranger or someone you knew?
I didn't know that.
And then what happened?
We got to know each other.
That's part of the consoling?
We got to know each other, and then, I had an affair, and that was a one-time thing with him.
Cue the violins. We rewind to the hospital where Christina was born, with both parents present, but Mr. Wisnowski filled with doubt. Despite the newborn baby vibes, he's mentally checking for an exit. The story that unfolds next will tug at your heartstrings, or yank them out.
To the day Christina was born. Mr. Wisnowski was there, am I correct?
Yes. At the hospital together, he was with me when
It was your thoughts that he was most certainly her father?
Yeah.
You had no doubt?
No doubt.
Mr. Wisnowski, did you have doubts when you were at the hospital?
I did have doubts because of the fact is that I'm in there for the long term anyway, and I figured here she was my wife, so I just went with the flow.
And the drama escalates. During their fiery divorce, Mr. Wisnowski throws down the gauntlet, demanding a DNA test to clear up his paternity doubts once and for all. It's a pivotal showdown that brings all their dirty laundry to the courtroom floor. You think this is juicy? Just wait for what's up next.
And when you filed divorce, ultimately, your statement says that you asked for a DNA test, right?
That is correct. Don't lie on this, Sharon. You know it.
I don't recall that, Your Honor.
Yes,
I don't recall that.
You don't recall the conversation.
You're such a holy roller. Supposed to be the holy roller. Don't be lying. You changed your life over to Christ. You changed your life over to God.
If I don't recall something, I don't.
Oh, you don't remember this conversation?
No, I did not.
Tears and truth bombs drop as Miss Wisnowski opens up about the emotional fallout from her jumbled family tree, feeling abandoned by both her roller coaster parents. This heart-wrenching chapter really shows the personal cost of their family saga. Don't go away. The emotional roller coaster is just reaching the peak.
This right here could be your grandson. Does this matter to you?
Well, the thing being is that when she was born, Christina
you even missed him. You missed the birth of him. Does that matter to you? Do you even care that he laughs kind of like you when I hear you on the phone, and then you sit there and you're gonna deny him?
Really?
I mean, you messed up on my life. You can't even come around and be a grandfather at 50 years old.
Plot twist alert. Miss Wisnowski shares her childhood detective work, trying to piece together her dad's identity, which feels like something out of a kiddie noir film. Her efforts to connect with Mr. Wisnowski paint a poignant picture of a daughter's longing. The next revelation will have you reaching for tissues, or maybe a stiff drink.
The only reason why I had a chance to even know my dad when I was about 8 years old, I found a number in my mom's black book. I kind of got the figure that maybe that is my dad. I called up that number. I said, well, I really want to get to know you. And we set up something at that time. Why should have I been the one at 8 years old want to get to know my dad? Why couldn't I have weekend visits like normal divorced children have?
Get ready for the big reveal. The DNA results are in.
Of Christina Wisnowski, Mr. Wisnowski, you are her father.
Brace yourselves for this one. Miss Illman is in court, hoping Mr. Mitchell is the biological father of her daughter London. If the DNA results prove otherwise, their upcoming wedding will be canceled. Mr. Mitchell is skeptical of being the father and believes he might be taken advantage of by Miss Illman. As the tension ramps up, you'll want to stick around for the next part.
You are in court today hoping and praying your fiancé, Mr. Mitchell, is the biological father of your daughter London, and you and your mother are here too. You say today's DNA results will determine the future of your family. You say nothing would make you happier than finding out are London's biological father, believing there is no way you are.
Get ready for a twist. The nature of Miss Illman and Mr. Mitchell's relationship is discussed. They met in high school and became close friends. Their relationship deepened over time, culminating in Mr. Mitchell moving in with Miss Illman's family due to his challenging home life. You're not going to want to miss what comes next in their saga.
Your Honor, when me and Jonathan got together, I was very happy. Got engaged January of last year, and if London is not, then our wedding is going to be off, and that's going to, me and Mr. Mitchell, we fight all the time about, me telling Mr. Mitchell that London is his, and he will tell me, no, I don't think she is.
You've
Everything
also told him
points
that
to her.
she's not.
Just when you think you've seen it all, Miss Illman details how her relationship with Mr. Mitchell evolved romantically while he was living with her family. Despite having a boyfriend at the time, she ended up engaging romantically with Mr. Mitchell, leading to confusion about the paternity of her child. Hang tight, the revelations just keep coming.
After about 2 months of him living with me and my family, we were sitting on the couch one day just talking, and he kissed me. And I told him, I have a boyfriend, do this. And he just kind of shrugged it off and said, okay. About a week after that, we were in the pool, and we were swimming under the water, and he kissed me in the water, and I came up. I didn't stop it. I let it continue, and we ended up having sex.
As the plot thickens, Miss Illman explains the complexities of her relationships and the timing of her pregnancy. She believed her ex was the father due to timing, but later later considered Mr. Mitchell could be the father based on their frequent encounters. Just wait until you see how the courtroom reacts to the next piece of news.
But we were not dating at the time I told him there was a possibility. I was still with my ex at the time.
This ex believed this is my child.
Yes, Your Honor.
When you found out, you immediately thought this could be my child's Loman and say, hey, is this my baby? When did you do it?
I waited a couple days, thought it over.
And how did you finally tell Mr. Mitchell you thought the baby could potentially be his?
When I was about 6 weeks.
Fasten your seatbelts. Here comes the big reveal. The court reveals the DNA results.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Mitchell, you are not the father.